Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and it's drama once again everywhere in the Call of Duty scene, and this time it's HyDra versus Crimsix back at it again after a certain social media manager gets fired by the New York subliners for a tweet about HyDra's relationship status. Crimsix comes in the replies, Slash is getting involved, Clace is getting involved, it's absolute chaos, people are wanting to reinstate this guy, and we're going to dive into all the details today. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, of course, the Major is coming up very soon indeed. The players are flying out there as it stands. Rokkr do a tweet longer and it says, we are the #1 seed for the Major, which is kind of surprising going into it. But yeah, first of all, we've got this tiebreaker match that's going to be played. The bonus match, and of course, this is a pretty important one. The loser goes into Group C with FaZe and Surge. The winner is in a much easier group, you would imagine, with Legion and Breach. Maybe not, to be honest, but it just sounds like Group D is easier than Group C. And of course, there's a challenger team in these groups as well that could make things interesting. But we thought, okay, this game is going to be played on Wednesday. That means it's going to be played on LAN, right? Because the players are flying out there today, or even some might have been flying out yesterday. So, you know, get there early enough, get some time to warm up, to scrim, to get kind of accustomed to the venue, and that they'll be playing a match on Wednesday. Now, the rumor has it, it's not even going to be streamed. This is like, I don't know why the CDL like to do this type of stuff, but I guess they think that if they're going to broadcast something, they've got to put on an entire show and get the desk ready. Like, that's not necessary, right? Just turn the stream on and get some sort of broadcast going. If not, there's going to be, I'm sure, like, you know, Ben J and Nassim or some of the guys that are there are going to do some sort of Periscope, or, you know, it used to be called Periscope. Now they'll probably just do it on Twitch from their phone or something. But I'm sure there'll be something to watch here, because I would imagine that even if the CDL don't do it for whatever reason, someone in person there will probably get a phone up and stream it on Twitch so we can at least see what's going on Wednesday evening. But, I mean, yeah, as he says, unless something changes, this match is not going to be streamed. An important game, right? I mean, it's very crucial for seeding just to see who wins this one. I'm interested who would win this series as well, because I don't think it's clear cut either way as it stands, especially if it were to go game 5. And even as Ben Nassim does say here, though, I get in early today, I'll see if we can do some good business here. So either telling the seeder like, hey, can we stream this please, or finding an alternative solution. So get a win in the chat, baby. The other important thing as well is this that's also going on Wednesday, which is the qualifiers for the Major 1 groups for the Challenger site. There's 8 teams there. These are the 8 teams that are going to be at Major 1 in Raleigh, and of these 8 teams, 4 will qualify through the play-in to get into the 4 respective groups with the pros. My prediction is I don't want to disrespect the APAC team and the Latin American team. My guess is that LAG Academy might be the best team here. I think at least one other NA team will get through. I'd like to see Parasite's team in Decimate Gaming make it. Rokkr Academy also very good. I think that probably will get the European teams also have impressed me a lot. The Spanish guys, the French guys basically, or the French speaking team of the Awoba Bobs with aBeZy and Co and Brezzy, and then Elevate, like with Harry and Gizmo, they had their stint on London last year. So yeah, it's tough to call. I would say probably Elevate, LAG +2 from these sides, but it would be really exciting to see how it goes. And again, one would hope there'll be a broadcast for this, right? But it's actually unclear as it stands, and especially if the Los Angeles Thieves versus London match is not going to get streamed. Are these matches going to get streamed as well? I don't really know. I'm sure they can find some solution, but whether there's going to be an official broadcast, that remains to be seen. So that's the update on Major 1. Now, this also was where all this drama began. So last night, Crone tweets this out. CDL Intel Players of the Week, Major 1 qualifiers Week 2, Standy and HyDra, which I think is justified. Crone actually messaged me about this and was like, hey, like, who do you think we should go for here? And he was definitely going to go Standy, and he was kind of weighing up between HyDra and Kismet, which I think was fair enough. And I was like, maybe I'd give it to HyDra just because he had some crazy pop-off moments, especially in the controls. Kismet was also maybe justified, but in terms of numbers, I think this is probably the right way to go. Now, I didn't actually think about this at the time when this graphic came out, but of course, certain people are going to realize that these two players have more than one thing in common, and that's what Magic replies here. Now, what he's talking about, and I don't really follow the whole, like, the relationships the pros win and stuff, but I've got to give you guys the background here. So this girl called Yen Source, she used to be dating Cellium, then I believe she went on to date Standy, and she's currently dating HyDra, right? So that's the whole thing here, that she used to be dating Standy, now she's dating HyDra. Like, you know, that's where this is coming from. Now, New York subliners pal, so this is CDLPal. He's done some cracking tweets over the last few months or so, and look, I'm biased in this guy's favor because he's currently working at Breaking Point. He's done some great stuff with us. I think he's a really solid guy personally, and he's got a great mind for hilarious content. Now, recently, subliners picked him up to be part of their social team. Now, he comes in the replies here and says this is out of pocket, and Sandy says that's not right, and then he goes on to say the following, which is, okay, the quality isn't great, but Stanley kind of replies to what he looks like in the image there, and then Pal says, you do look sourced, I'm not gonna lie. So, you know, source, yen source, right, this type of stuff. And this this, to my knowledge, is all that CDLPal tweeted about this. Like, this is on his personal account. It's not like he's come out and tweeted this on the main sublayer's Twitter account. It's just on his personal. And then, not long after, he gets fired by New York sublayers for this series of tweets, or only a couple of tweets that he did. So, like, my initial thought was like, this seems pretty outrageous, right? Okay, yes, he's made a joke about HyDra and YenSource and Staddy and all this. And maybe you can understand that if you're, you know, making fun of the CEO of a company or something, then maybe there's going to be some serious repercussions. I know that people have said that, well, look, if he was actually working in an office job for like an actual company, you could say in the real world, like a tweet like that or a comment like that is not really going to get you any more than a talking to. But in this case, you know, he just gets straight up fired. So, you know, I felt bad for him, right? And this tweet initially didn't gain much traction, and then it certainly did. So no longer with New York, made a joke about something that I should not have talked about. I'd like to sincerely apologize, take full responsibility. So look, I'm sure CDLPal's going to get a better opportunity probably as a result of this. And it was just really strange how quickly this happened. He does the tweet, and minutes later, New York subletters give him the message like, yeah, mate, you're fired. You're not here anymore. Now, this started to take off when Hunter from The Guard tweeted about this, and he actually replied saying that he'd heard rumors that HyDra had refused to play the match if he wasn't fired, which, I mean, that was, okay, this is now deleted because my understanding was that's not what actually happened, but, I mean, like, I don't know, that's a hilarious rumor to me, and it just adds fuel to the fire of this whole HyDra at New York equals Mbappe at PSG, and it's even better because both HyDra and Mbappe, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe they both have French and Algerian blood, so it's just unbelievable scenes. And if you guys aren't familiar, like, Mbappe's the star player over at PSG, and it's kind of considered that in order for him to be staying at PSG, he has a lot of power in terms of what happens within that team, and people already gave that association with HyDra, and now this comes out, and even though that rumor of him refusing to play, I don't think is true, and I believe there was more of a misunderstanding internally, where HyDra was asked, like, hey, you know, what do you think about this guy? Do we keep him? Do we get rid of him? And I don't believe HyDra said to fire him, but I don't think HyDra necessarily said not to fire him, let's just say. So then the subletters management made their call on that. So I don't really think this is HyDra's fault, but I think maybe the blame, if there is any blame, lies on either the subletters management or CDLPal himself, depending on the way you see it, right? Whether you think he did enough to be, you know, warranting getting fired, or whether he didn't. So Hunter comes out and apologizes and said, yeah, hey, other sources have now refuted this, and he says, you know, I'll fly home to France unless you kick Pal. That was the drama last season, right? So Crimsix now wading in, because last year that was the drama that HyDra apparently refused to play at one point and was like, yeah, I'm going to fly home to France because this is situation just going so bad. And Crim obviously isn't the biggest fan of HyDra after what happened last season and the fact that he got dropped to the team at the ends. And look, if Crim can have any repercussions to trash talk HyDra whenever possible, then he's going to take up those opportunities. So, you know, Standy replies with all this type of stuff, and then people were starting to meme about it, right? For example, this from Gladiator, HyDra's management, whenever a subletter's employee tweets something, like it decides whether they live or whether they die. And, you know, even this in the Tac with Academy, I asked for Guilty, they said no. So just pretty good stuff. Now, as I say, I don't necessarily believe that HyDra actually, like, initiated him getting fired, but nonetheless, it does seem interesting that there's one rogue tweet from an employee about their star player, and then immediately subletters are like, yeah, you're gone, unlucky mate, nice try. So this is the thing, a lot of the community was coming back and saying, you know, actually having heard some of the stories here, being like, this seems pretty outrageous to, you know, get rid of him for this. Of course, it's subjective whether you think it is or not. I'm personally on the side of that it's pretty soft to fire over something like this, in my opinion, but maybe you guys disagree. But anyway, CDL Trash Talk, I stand with Pal, and then this from Shah. I know that Shah was trying to push this around, and there were a load of tweets, hashtag I stand with Pal, to such an extent that Standy ended up tweeting it out, I stand with Pal as well. So, you know, this guy's kind of on board with having a bit of a joke around about this, the whole, you know, you got sauce thing or whatever Pal said. I thought it was pretty funny. And then even, I think Charlie pointed this out to me, but a couple of you guys sent this my way, that for certain people, hashtag I stand with Pal was trending on Twitter. So yeah, phenomenal stuff from all involved, to be honest here. And it kicked off from something really small initially to being the biggest story of the day. And then Crimsix comes in even further, right? So he sees the tweet from Hunter. Wait, he got kicked for this? I've been telling y'all since the flag, this MF is Satan. So basically, you know, putting the blame on HyDra. Now look, as I say, Crimsix is obviously going to be biased against HyDra in these discussions based on what happened last season, but nonetheless, it's still kind of hilarious to look at these tweets from Crim, I mean, just all caps as well. And then Crim even comes in the replies to CDLPal's tweet, which kind of helps it blow up even further. Lol, a rogue Algerian running the whole city of New York at this point, the French kingpin of Hell's Kitchen. Like, Crimsix actually speaks, he must have his own language. The way he speaks is like, it's Crimsixian. I don't know how else to describe it. No one else can do this. Homie said a joke and got annihilated. The timing is comedy, events come around, and internal stuff follows. Unless Kiz brings the dog in him, New York Subliners top 12. So the thing is, Subliners can technically get top 16, right, if they were to come fourth in their group. Unlikely, because their group isn't particularly challenging, I don't think, but nonetheless, it's pretty funny that Crim says, because he has experience last season of, with events around the corner, things internally started to go crazy within the Subliners camp, and I'm not necessarily sure this is an example of that on the same level that it was last season, but it's still another coincidence that an event is coming around the corner, there's HyDra drama involved, and Crim reckons that Subliners are terrible unless Kismet turns up, because, you know, Crim rated Kismet and Poor Legs from that team last year, didn't rate HyDra though, of course, and even says this, check DMs of my lawyer's contact info, hashtag I stand with pals. This is why it started to get trending. I mean, just hilarious stuff. So I do feel bad for CDLPal here, right? I'm sure he feels bad about getting fired for all this, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to work out for the better. I'm sure he's going to get another gig somewhere else. I mean, what he did was like far from outrageous. It's not like someone else is going to say, oh, wow, you said that. Like, there's no way we're going to hire you ever again. So, you know, I still think he's one of the best at what he does in the COD scene, to be honest. So, anyway, even Slasher replies here, wait, is that the only thing you said that was out of pocket? I don't understand the world we live in nowadays. Pac-Man's like, you know, everyone's super soft. And as he says, everyone's more scared and shook because tame things like this could cost you your career. As I say, I don't think it's going to cost him his career, because it's not like he said something so outrageous that he's not going to get hired again, but still, to get fired over this, I thought was pretty outrageous. And, you know, even Sasha kind of responds and talking about this, nah, that's out of pocket. Basically, that singular tweet with maybe a couple of other ones got him just fired from the Subliners. Now, even Clayster gets talked about this, so people are replying to Clay, be like, hey, can you tweet out hashtag I stand with pal and stuff like this? And Clay's like, who even is this guy? And as he says, you know, that joke is hilarious, probably should have had the foresight not to roast your team's star player. So that's the other side of the argument here, right? That maybe, and I'm sure he feels like, okay, probably he shouldn't have roasted HyDra and the star player, but look, if like, let's say it had been Kismet or a Skies or a Priester that had been in that conversation and wasn't HyDra, would Subliners have acted the same way? Like, I don't really know, maybe not. And just before we finish out the video, as a result of this, another one of the Subliners guys, I'd seen this guy's Twitter Zen before, Zenster, but I didn't realize he was working with the Subliners, and just a few hours later, he tweets this out, no longer with New York, it's not much to say, felt blindsided by all this, I spent $90 on a jersey to support the squad too, and then he gets fired, and apparently he got fired posting this tweet. So he posted this tweet to Crimsix, where, okay, it's like charming soft, and then you rub the glass and it's HyDra, which, I mean, like, okay, this to me is a bit more egregious. It's funny, really. Probably as a Subliners social media manager, you might not be wanting to tweet this particular thing out. Quick note here to mention after I've finished recording the main video is that apparently he tweeted this after he got fired by New York, so it probably was something else that went on. So just to make that clear that I believe that's the case, who honestly really knows at this point? I just find it funnier, the idea that he tweeted this and then got fired, but it might not actually, it might have been the other way around. So like all the consequences of this are crazy, but yeah, as I say, I don't necessarily think this is HyDra saying, you know, get rid of this guy. I think it's more of a New York thing, trying to defend HyDra, but you know, would they do that for other players? I don't know. So honestly, man, like what an absolute mess it's been over the last 24 hours. I'm sure, and hopefully at least, these guys will find better opportunities, because the COD community is great for the memes and all this, and CDLPal is one of the best of the best, but yeah, man, COD drama never ceases to amaze, even when it's not between the pro players. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.